Hey, what's up?
Nothing much. I actually just finished working. Station over here, so.
Yeah, I heard you. I know you had, when we were DMing, you had told me that you had, I think you said some work or something that you were finishing up. Is that like work stuff, like with your new job?
Um, yeah, it is. So I made a couple calls today, so I just wanted to go back over my notes, make sure that they were good. But I'm finished for the day. So after this, I'm going to the gym.
All right, cool. We love it. Love it. So, what region do you stay in? Like, where do you stay at?
I'm actually in Atlanta. I'm probably right down the street from you.
I'm in Miami right
Oh,
now.
you moved?
Yeah. So I still
Okay.
live in. So I'm bi-coastal. So I have a spot here in Miami and I have a spot in Atlanta. Um, until my lease is up. Once my lease is up, then I'm just going to be here in Miami. So I'm primarily here, but I still go to Atlanta to record my podcast whenever we're interviewing guests for the podcast and stuff
Cool.
like that. And I was at Render last week, and so that was in Atlanta. So were you at the tech conference, Render?
I wasn't. I wanted to go, but I had some other things come up. But I did see that it looked pretty live, so.
Yeah, Render was pretty dope, especially all the parties and turn-ups afterwards. That was my favorite part. Um, you said what?
I had some FOMO. I saw it all on Instagram.
It's cool. There's gonna be more tech events happening this year. Oh yeah, for those of y'all that want like an update on different tech events that are happening, definitely make sure that you go to the Tech is the New Black website, and you could literally subscribe to our newsletter every week. We send out a list of the upcoming tech events all around the U.S. So definitely sign up to that. It's completely free, just to help people find out just about the tech events happening in cities near you. All right, super cool. Also, those of y'all that have questions, so we're going to go ahead and jump into her story. Make sure that the questions that you have, you are posting questions in the question box. I'm always putting down like that's where it's at. That's where I see it at. I don't know where y'all see it at. But make sure you're posting the questions in the question box, so that way we can get to your questions at the end, all that good stuff. Because it'll be very hard for us to keep up with the questions here in the chat while we're talking. And yeah, super cool. So, all right, and excuse me, how do you pronounce your name?
It's Anna.
Okay, Anna. Okay, cool. All right, you just make it easy, like just Anna.
Yeah.
All right, super cool. All right, so let's jump into it. So I can't remember how, but I know at some point, I don't know if you commented it or if you DM'd me, but at some point you were like, "Hey, I did a boot camp. I'm in tech now," and I was like, "Oh, bet." And I asked you, I was like, "Yo, like, would you be willing to come on the live and share your story?" You were like, "Yeah," and so here we are. So can we talk about just first off, what were you doing? And I'd asked you this in the DM, and you put it in there, but I was trying to find my tripod. But basically, what were you doing before you broke into tech?
I was actually working in customer service. So basically a call center. I did a lot of, calls, emails, stuff like that. Very repetitive stuff every day. Um, but before that, I considered going into like healthcare. So I actually got my degree in neuroscience from Georgia State, actually. Um, but COVID happened and all that stuff after I graduated, and it kind of made me rethink some things. I realized I didn't want to go the medical route. I also didn't like the research route either. So I mean, it was cool, got my degree, but I'm not using it at all, honestly. Yeah, so I ended up in customer service, and it was actually my sister that followed you that sent me your stuff. And that's how I ended up finding out about course.
Dope. Shouts out to the sister looking out.
Yeah.
So is she in tech, or was it was just something she was recommending for you to look into?
She actually ended up in
Okay.
careerist.
Is
Yeah.
she in it right now, or did she finish it already?
Yeah, she finished it before I even finished course career. She's working for a tech company right now, and she.
Oh, so both of y'all got jobs in tech.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fire. And that's so crazy that she did one boot camp and you did the other one, and like both of y'all are working in tech now. Y'all gotta put like some clapping emojis, some fire emojis, something like that's incredible. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yo, super fire. So yeah, so your sister was like, "Yo, check this dude out. He be flapping his gums a lot, talking about tech, talking about these boot camp stuff." Was there any reservation or hesitation? Because I'm always curious because obviously it's a lot of people online just be talking. People be pushing stuff, selling stuff. A lot of people be flapping their gums. Was there any reservation that you or your sister had where y'all like, yo, this could be a scam? Or like I guess, like what made y'all be like, yo, like we believe this, we're gonna go ahead and do it?
The thing is, my sister is very smart and she had been following you for a while. So by the time she slid the information to me, I already trust her. So I didn't do too much digging. I mean, I did check out your videos and she was telling me, you know, more about everything. And by the time she, you know, convinced me to do Courseware, she had already got started with Carreras and she was, you know, pretty successful with that. So honestly, I didn't have many reservations by the time it got to me. But that's shout out to my sister because I already know she's gonna do her digging before she signs up for anything.
That's fire. Big shouts out to your sister. I love that so much. And she hasn't come on my live before, has she?
No.
Okay,
No.
cool. Well, yeah, if I guess at the end of this live, if you can, and I'll try to remember to ask you if you can DM me her Instagram because I would love for her to come on at some point too. I think that'd be dope if she's willing to. Either way, that'd be pretty cool.
I'll let her. She
might would have been dope. What were you saying?
She might be a little shy, but I'll let her know.
Okay, yeah, and no pressure, no pressure. So that'll be dope though. Shouts out to sis. All right, bet. So you did the boot camp. And I think you told me something pretty unique in the DMs. When you did the boot camp, you did it and you took a break, right? And then you came back later. So like tell everybody like when you started, how long of a break you took, and when you started it back. Like what was all that like?
I literally signed up way back of actually a year ago, June of last year. And I had big plans. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna finish this in a month," and yada yada yada. But you know, it's unlike Carreras, it's a self-paced course, so you really gotta have the discipline. And I found, you know, it was summertime. I was still working full time.
Hot girl summer.
So I just kind of found myself like kind of falling off, especially because like you do have to like read a few books. So I found myself kind of slowing down, falling off. But later on into the year, I would say around like maybe September or October, I was still working at my customer service job and I was just becoming like really unhappy. I was just like, I cannot continue to stay here. And I was like, I already made the investment in Courseware, so I need to just like buckle down and finish it. So towards the end of the year, like I really got like super focused. So I restarted it, like I believe when I really got into it was January, and like I every day dedicated some time to it. So I ended up finishing like towards the end of January, and I resigned from my job the very last day of January before I even like started applying to stuff. I was just like, I'm gonna need to light the fire.
You was like, you just believed, you knew for a fact. You was like, yo, I'm quitting this job and I'm about to get a job in tech.
I mean, yeah, I believed in myself. I believed in like the knowledge that I got from Courseware. And then also I was just like, I need to light the fire under my ass to like really stay committed to like, you know, putting in those applications and doing what I had to do. So
real quick question. So I know that you did Courseware. Your sister did Carreras. Y'all got y'all's discounts, right? Like they hooked y'all up with the discounts, right?
She did.
Okay.
I had a slow moment. I didn't know.
Oh, you signed up and didn't even use the discount.
Yeah.
You're cool. It's $50.
Yeah.
You good now. You ain't missing that $50 now. You good.
Exactly.
Yeah. So which course, and this I guess this is probably the last thing I bring up with your sister because I'm seeing a bunch of people going crazy about this in the comments. So you did the tech sales course with Courseware, right? You did like the SDR BDR course.
Correct. Yeah.
And what course did your sister do with Carreras?
The sales engineering course.
Okay, cool. And is she a sales engineer?
She is not. I forget the exact title of what she's doing. But I do know that the person that was in her role prior to her, after 6 months, they moved up to the SE role. And the people that she spoke with when she was interviewing were letting her know that, you know, it's a very strong possibility. I can't remember exactly what her title is though. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's totally cool. So the person whose role she took over, when they got promoted to a sales engineering role, and I guess the company told her when they hired her on, hey, we'll eventually promote you to the sales engineering role as well, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And she ended up, actually already networking, being connected with somebody who works with the company that was letting her know, like, just reach back out to me, actually. So that's one of the main reasons why she did accept that offer. So, yeah.
Okay, that's lit. Yeah, one of the things I always tell people, I'm not gonna harp on this too much. One of the things I always kind of share with people, whether it's for a tech sales role or it's for a sales engineering role or many different roles, like, is that the beauty of a lot of these different, like for instance, like you did Course Careers, which is you did their tech sales program, their SDR BDR program. Some people are able to land an account executive position, which is higher than an SDR BDR. So eventually you'll be promoted to an account executive unless you decide to move over to something else in tech. And likewise, I always tell people that if you do the sales engineering course, there's always roles that you can like get hired in that you can always get promoted to being a sales engineer. So either one, you can land something like an account executive or sales engineer where usually they're paid on par, or you can land a SDR, BDR role or something else like whatever your sister has. And either way, it'll get promoted up to the next tier. So I think that's really dope. I love that. I'm excited for both of y'all. I low key it low key would have been cool to have both of y'all on here. But I know your sister's shy. Either way, I'm excited. I love it. I just love seeing people win, and I just think it's dope. Like both y'all are in the industry now, so y'all be able to go to tech events together in the future. Does she live in Atlanta with you, like in the city?
Yeah. Well, I'm like in Atlanta, and she's like in the metro area, so we're pretty close.
Okay. What's that one girl name that has that song? Not that that not Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
That's what you sounded like. You was like, oh, I'm in Atlanta. She not Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine. All right, so you did Course Careers, did their tech sales program, and you finished it in the end of January after you took a super long break. I don't know anybody that took a break as long as your break did, but I think it's dope that you finished it and that you were able to yeah. Thanks, Tiffany. Tiffany said it was Amaretta. Yeah, that's her name, Amaretta.
Yes.
Who song? But yeah, so you broke into the industry. So what was the applying and interviewing process like for you after you finished the boot camp? Especially because you quit your job, so you're like really like out there.
Yeah. Well, in Course Careers, they kind of teach you, how to optimize your LinkedIn and how to apply to jobs on LinkedIn as well. So that's where I kept my search. Like I never looked on Indeed or anything else. Um, and I would basically try to find companies that I could tell were a little bit more established, like based on how many employees they had. Um, and I would like apply, but then also reach out to like a hiring manager or something like that, just to kind of like expedite the process. And they see that you're, very serious. Um, and a lot of these places did have multiple interviews. And it's funny that you mentioned the account executive thing, because I actually did get an offer from another company for an AE role, but they were hybrid and I really wanted to be just like fully remote. So that's how I ended up getting this SDR position.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and that's one of the things I guess to talk about because I guess it's just like some of the benefits or perks like within your company. So one you just touched on is that it's fully remote, and yeah, I usually tell people that like half the jobs in tech are fully remote, and then there's like a mixture of some that are hybrid, like what you mentioned, and then of course there are some that are just straight up like on site. But aside from yours being fully remote, aside from that, like what are some of the other things that you've been able to experience that you would say are different from most other jobs that are out there?
Well, just to compare it to even just my previous role, the PTO. With my previous role, like I had to be working there for a couple of days before I could even request a day off. And even then, I was very limited in how many days I could request off in a year. But with one, they have flexible time off. So It doesn't matter how long you've been working there. Most of it will get approved, and there's no limit on how many days you have. So I really
Or
like that.
you have unlimited PTO.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, that's fire. I don't think I've ever been at a tech company that has unlimited PTO. I don't think I have. So for those that don't know, so I see somebody put down SDR. So SDR stands for Sales Development Representative. It's just an acronym. There are a lot of acronyms of different roles in tech, but so unlimited PTO, for those that don't know, it literally means unlimited paid time off, meaning just kind of how she was touching on. It's like, for the most part, you can take off as much time as you want within reason. Like, obviously, don't take 2 months off and be collecting the check and thinking you're going to be good. Your company going to start like side-eyeing you. But it's one of those things to where if you need to take time off, whether you need to take a week off or if something happens, like, you'll still be getting paid. Even though I've never been at a company that had unlimited PTO, I will say that I always was able to take time off and was always getting paid. So nobody was ever tripping. Even if I didn't have unlimited PTO, all the tech companies I worked at have been like very flexible to be able to do that. So that's dope. So unlimited PTO or roughly unlimited PTO, fully remote, and you're fully remote. Did your company pay for like all of your office equipment?
Yo, for everybody who is listening and you're thinking that you're interested in a career in tech sales, I suggest you check out Course Careers. Course Careers is a tech boot camp that you can do entirely from home. It's entirely virtual and it's self-paced. So that means you can knock it out in as early as 2 weeks or even take a few months if you need to. Now, the really cool thing about Course Careers is that they're actually partnered with multiple tech companies that are hiring their students right after finishing the program. The great thing about Course Careers is that with those partnerships, they're able to guarantee you jobs with some of their partner companies. Now, beyond that alone, the other cool thing we want to tell you about them is that Course Careers is actually only $500. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. But since we partner with Course Careers, they're offering our audience a discount of $50 off that already low price. So make sure you use our discount link that we have below, so that way you can take advantage of that $50 off that already low price. Do Course Careers at your own pace and let us know what job you end up getting from it.
They did. They actually sent me equipment more than I thought I was getting. I thought I was just gonna get like a little laptop, a little headset, and that'd be it. But sent me, I don't know if you guys can see, a monitor. The laptop I got was a MacBook. I had to learn how to use that because I was a PC girl. I'm not gonna lie to you. Also sent me an iPad, which I still don't know what I need it for, but they sent it to me. And I also got like a headset, a keyboard, a mouse, like literally everything. The only thing I had to get for myself was a desk.
That's fire. I love that so much. The same thing with me. My first tech company, they gave me an option of equipment, and I went with a Dell my first time. But then when I transitioned to another tech company, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to go ahead and start like trying this whole Mac thing out. So I'm just now, it's probably about a year since I've had a Mac now, and I'm just now feeling really comfortable with it. And low-key, I'm not even gonna cap, I kind of see why people like MacBooks a lot, because I love how I can see all my text messages. I can do everything from my computer. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm seeing the hype for sure.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I see a few people in here asking about pay. I'll say that I used to always, people that would come on my live, I would always like ask them to share how much they're getting paid. I personally don't do that anymore. The reason why is because for those of y'all that are new to watching my lives, if you go back, you'll see that everybody that I interviewed last year, I brought on like about 40 people on my live last year. All of them shared how much they were paid. And the pay range is always usually on the low end. It's usually about 65,000, like 60, 65,000. And then the on the high end, I brought people on my live that were the most I've ever brought somebody on for, or brought somebody on, they were making out the gate was $135,000. But that's rare. Most people fall somewhere between like 75 and like 95,000 entry level starting out. But then after a year, no matter what, like as long as you're at a decent company and you're doing your, you're doing your work, or if you job hop to another company, after a year, you're gonna be making over six figures unless you just ain't really doing what you need to do. You're gonna be making over six figures. So I don't ask people to care how much they're making anymore, because at this point, that's how much everybody's generally making around that amount starting out, usually somewhere between, I've seen as low as 55,000. I usually encourage people not to accept something like at that number, but sometimes if it makes sense for people, if it's more than what they're getting paid and the benefits are better and they're working remote, either way, it's like, cool, take it, because either way, you'll be able to scale in this industry. Yeah, Zoom certified said, nah, it's 45 to 65 SMB. So I don't know how many people you've interviewed. I've interviewed about 70 people now on my live, and I talk to hundreds of people every week. And again, the general consensus that I've seen is typically somewhere between 65 to 95,000 starting out in terms of what I've seen. But yeah, you are right. It could be as low as 45, but I always tell people, and again, this is my opinion, I always tell people not to accept something that low, but also not to be so adamant that you have to get an entry-level role over $100,000, because even that's rare, entry level. But anyway, I ain't gonna harp too much on that stuff. But yeah, it could be as low as 45. I always tell people don't accept that. It could be over 100,000, but also I always say don't hold your breath. So either way, good stuff, good stuff. So you're at a good company, and I know like in the DMs you seem like you really enjoy the company that you're at, or it's pretty dope. So can you just really quickly like explain to people like what your job is? Like, what does a sales development representative do at your company? Because it varies a little bit company to company, but for the most part it's the same. So what does yeah, y'all, my bad. Recruiter cousin Shanae just jumped in the comments. She just got promoted. I'm forgetting like what your role is now. She was a technical recruiter with Microsoft. She still is, but she got promoted. So I don't know like what your title is now, but she's like a very popular recruiter, influencer that helps different people get in tech, she does coaching, all of that stuff. And yeah, she even said that as a recruiter, she encourages people to aim for something higher. So again, I'm not talking out of the side of my neck when I say this stuff, y'all. I'm not trying to sell people pipe dreams. It's like, this is just really what it is if you actually go for it. And check out my episode with her. She was on my podcast twice actually, and she talks about negotiation tips, all that stuff. So some people could accept 45,000 or 55,000, but definitely check out those clips or that episode of the podcast. You can gain some negotiation tips of how you can get significantly more than that. So yeah, either way, super cool. So what does your role entail as a sales development representative?
So I do work for a company that sells software, typically to medical offices. So pretty much on the daily, I get new leads every day that I reach out to. So I'll call them, email or text, all of the above sometimes. And basically my role is to try to book a demo with the account executive. And of course there is commission, and the commission is not based on how many demos you book, but how many people actually show up to those demos. So a part of it is making sure that you're booking like quality demos and not just putting anybody on the calendar.
I didn't even find out. It wasn't until it was actually an IG live, and I think it was earlier this year, where I had somebody else on that was an SDR. I didn't realize that y'all got like commission just for booking a demo. Oh, my bad, booking and the person showing up.
Yeah.
Like when I found that out, I was like, yo, that was so crazy, because I thought that just like for the account executive, they don't really get their commission. Usually they don't get their commission unless the deal closes. I thought it was the same thing, but to find out the SDR, the sales development representative or business development representative, that y'all get your commission, like if they show up to the next call, I was like, yo, that's actually, because it makes sense, because it's like, why should it be on you if the person like actually goes into contract with your company? It should only be on you just to communicate well enough and basically make sure that they're a good fit for them to actually show up on the next call. And so I actually think that's really dope.
Yeah, because by that time you've done your part. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Shanae. It was yeah, it was Nage. It was Naja who had mentioned that, who had shared that. So super cool. So how long have you been at your company now?
Not long at all, actually. Almost a month.
Okay, cool. Have you actually started working yet, or are you still in training?
No. So we're out of training. We've been out of training for about like a week and a half now. And apparently out of like 150 applicants, me and three other people are the ones that actually made it to the new hire. So it's four of us. And I guess they chose well because like literally we're all doing like pretty good. Within the first couple days of actually starting, we were able to book like 3-5 demos in the first couple days each. So
Oh,
yeah,
y'all killing it.
yeah.
Y'all killing it. No, that's super fire. So y'all been booking a bunch of demos. That's been really good. You've been there for a month now. So again, it's still pretty early, but in your opinion, you could tell like the like honest truth, maybe pros and cons. Like, how are you feeling? Like, where's your head at so far? Like, are you like, yo, I'm happy that I made this decision to transition over into tech? Or are you like, I kind of like this, but I might want to transition to another role in tech in the near future? Or, yo, I'm going to just run this bag up in tech real quick, and maybe after a couple years, I might transition to another industry. Like, what are you thinking?
I'm kind of feeling a little bit of everything. Like I'm very happy with my situation, like relatively, because before I was basically on the phone all day anyway, and I wasn't at home, couldn't take a nap like I wanted to, you know. So I'm happy with where I am now. Um, but I will say, like, if you're somebody that maybe doesn't like to be on the phone that much or whatever, then maybe something like this would not be right for you at all. Um, but there are some days, I mean, most of the time I'm fine with it because I'm used to talking to people, but there are some days where I'm just like, I do not feel like calling 100 people today.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I kind of wish I was maybe doing something that wasn't so call heavy. Um, so I'm happy with where I am now, but like I don't plan on like staying here forever. So I definitely do want to look into some other things. Maybe I will go like the real tech route, you know, learn some coding. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm at. But for now, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, that's fire. That makes a lot of sense. One of the things I love about the industry is how there are so many different roles. Like the role that you're doing and the role that I've primarily done in tech are customer facing roles where we're always like talking to customers. But like you mentioned, there's other roles where you don't have to be on calls with customers. You could be kind of working more behind the scenes, just doing like a variety of other things. Somebody put in the chat, they put a nap, like responding to when you said. So do you do you sometimes like take naps in the middle of the day since you work from home now?
100%. Matter of fact, I related all the way to one of your recent posts where you're like, where your 5 minute nap turned into a 55. Because listen, I'm any opportunity to sneak a little nap in if I can, as long as I'm getting the job done.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess with that, and this will probably be one of the last things we'll talk about before we get to the questions. So make sure y'all are putting y'all questions down in the chat box so we can get to those. So with that, dang, I literally just forgot what I was about to say. So it was kind of like a piggyback off the whole naps, the whole naps thing. Yeah. So okay, so what is, I guess, would you say like your typical workload? Like what time do you like have to start working, and what time do you like? What does that really look like for you?
So with this company, they're mostly based like on the West Coast. But there are employees like all over the US. So for training, just to kind of sync up with each other, we were on Central Time. So we all, well, on the East Side, I started at like 10 a.m. and finished around like close to 7. But now that we're out of training, we can choose our own hours, which I'm trying to decide if I want to do like 8 to 4 and 9 to 5, but you can pretty much pick your own time. And the leads just kind of come in, and usually towards the end of the day, they kind of taper off. So usually when I'm getting ready to finish up, I don't have any new people I need to contact anyway. And in terms of workload, I would say it's pretty decent. Like, it's not like I have like a list of 1,000 people that I need to call and I'm not getting to everybody. So it's pretty decent right now. But apparently that's why they hired 4 new SDRs because the people that were there before, they were a little bit overwhelmed. So now they have a good, yeah.
That's always good to disperse a lot of that work. I'm seeing a lot of people that keep popping up in the chat, asking like what boot camp she did. I see some of y'all helping people out, letting them know that she did Course Careers. For future reference, y'all, anytime I ever have, y'all see where it's pinned down below where it says Course Careers discount and I have the discount code. Anytime I ever have a boot camp pinned, that's the boot camp that the person did. So I'm never gonna have another boot camp pinned, but the person's talking about a different boot camp that they did. So it's just really like about it making sense, so that way y'all can hear about the boot camp, hear about someone's story, their experience. And if you're interested in doing the boot camp and if you want a discount, boom, there's a boot camp and there's a discount code. So that way you can save a few coins off the cost of the boot camp. So just for future reference, I'm never gonna have a boot camp pinned that's not the boot camp that the person did. Super cool, super cool. So that's dope. So let's go ahead and get to these questions real quick. Well, no, real quick. So before we get to these questions, what is something that you felt like, and this is really on me, what is something that you felt like I didn't share online or I don't talk about enough that you think people could benefit with knowing?
Well, I feel like a lot of people, when they see your post, they probably see like, you know, that you making money, that you living nice, and they maybe like don't think too hard about like you actually have to work though. Like, yes, you're comfortable and you can be at home, but you do still have to work. Like, you're not just chilling.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No, I agree 100%. My bad, I got a little thrown off by somebody asking about your starting pay. We addressed this earlier. Most people that get into the tech sales role, most people start out somewhere between 65 to 95,000. Sometimes people have accepted pay that's less than that. Sometimes people have gotten paid that's like over 120,000 entry level still. But yeah, so we're just gonna kind of leave it there so that way she doesn't have to like share exactly how much she's making right now. But just know that that's generally the window. But just like a recruiter cousin said earlier, she's a tech recruiter with Microsoft. Just like she said earlier, you should always negotiate. Whatever the first offer a company presents to you, usually you can ask for significantly more than that, as well as a sign-on bonus. That's another thing people don't ask about. Ask for sign-on bonuses. There are plenty of people. My second tech company, they gave me a $12,000 sign-on bonus. I didn't even ask for it. And then I found out that had I asked, I could have gotten a $25,000 sign-on bonus. So like, ask for sign-on bonuses. Ask if they can pay more. You know, just definitely ask. Bring those things up. And again, that's not just for me. These several recruiters that I've had on my podcast have shared that, and I've dropped those clips on my page. So just to kind of give y'all a heads up on that.
I still feel about the interview process.
Oh yeah. And real quick, so I do want you to answer that, and then we'll get into the questions. I just wanted to double down on what you said earlier, because I know I kind of like gotten distracted. Yeah, I agree 100%. It's something I'm starting to try to talk about a little bit more. But yeah, y'all, you're definitely working for the money. So these companies aren't just paying you a lot of money just because they're nice. It's like they're expecting you to perform well. And they're expecting you to be an adult. They're usually not micromanaging you. So one of the things I think is interesting about this industry is that it's kind of shocking how much they really just trust you to just do your job. And if you need help, reach out. But it's like they're like, usually people aren't hovering over you, hitting you up all day, every day. They're trusting you to actually be an adult and just kind of like get things done. So you definitely work for the money. They're not paying you a lot just because they're trying to be cute. It's because they're expecting you to actually work. So yeah, y'all be seeing a lot of flexing, but understand it's a lot of work that be going on with the flexing. Definitely. All right, super cool. So yeah, my bad. You can go ahead and answer the question that Tiffany asked earlier about the interview process.
So for most companies, there were multiple interviews. So usually there would be like one like phone screening over the phone, and then the rest of them would be via Zoom, especially if you're going to be working remote. For the position that I have right now, I had a total of 4 interviews.
That includes
The
the screening too, right? So you had the over the phone screening, and then you had 3 Zoom interviews.
Actually, with this one, they skipped the phone part. So my first interview was actually with the director of sales, actually. And I could tell he just kind of wanted to kind of pick up what type of person I was. Like, we didn't really get too much into my experience or anything like that. It was like really just a conversation, which I will say that is a tip, is to make it as conversational as possible. Like, be comfortable and confident, because they pick up on that, and that's something that they like. So that was the first interview. And then I will say it took a while before they reached back out to me. So it was another 3 weeks. I was still applying to stuff, but it was another 3 weeks until I had my second set of interviews, which I had 2 interviews in one day. One was with another sales director, and then also who my manager was going to be, so the SDR manager. And then that's when I got into like work experience, and then also like the tech course that I did, and just kind of getting into like more of the technical stuff, like, will you be able to do this job? Like, tell me about a time when, yada, yada. And then my very last interview wasn't even really fully an interview. They actually had me download like a free trial of the software. And that interview was me like showing them how to do something, I guess, to show how competent I was. But I basically showed how to use the software. And then, of course, the dreaded question, like, okay, like, try to sell this to me. I almost pooped my pants, but yeah, obviously I made it though. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say number 1 tip for those is just to always have questions. And honestly, it can be questions that you just really want to know the answers to. Like, my main question that I asked everybody was like, what's the percentage of people on the team that are actually hitting quota?
That's a,
And if, yeah,
that's a good question.
a low number, that's a bad sign, and it probably reflects more on the company than it does on the people. So yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat. Y'all, we're going to now only address questions that I see in the question box. So I'm going to ask the questions only because the reason why I'm doing that is because it's impossible for us to keep up with the questions in the chat as they're popping up. So if you want your question answered, put it in the question box and we will work to get to it. And also, for the sake of time, I am going to, if I see a question that's on here and the question is it's a stupid question. I believe in stupid. People say there's no such thing as a stupid question. If it's a question like somebody's asking something where it's like you could literally just click on the Bootcamp website and you can see the answer on their website, it's like we're not going to answer that because we're like, I'm really big on working hard. I'm really big on you working to get the job and not just you not being willing to just go to the website and look at something that's on there. It's like, because realistically, like she mentioned earlier, you're going to be working at these companies. So I don't want anybody, and even for myself, I don't want to coddle people to where you just are just expecting everything to be answered, everything to be handled for you. So we're going to answer things that I feel aren't as easy for you to be able to just click on a website and look at it on the website. Also, I'm seeing a few questions in here, things people asking like, you know, do you work weekends? Do you work this? She can't answer that for every single tech company, but I can say that roughly, this is an arbitrary percentage, but like 99% of tech roles, you're not going to be working weekends. I've only met one person that works weekends in tech sales, but that's because they're at a very unique type of tech company that they have to work like one day on the weekend. It's like really weird, but they're off one weekday, but that's a very unique company. Yeah, somebody said also your FAQs. I have FAQs. I promise 90% of the questions y'all are going to be asking are questions that are already answered in my FAQs. So anyway, we're going to get to these questions. We're going to sort through the questions, and I'm going to try to, Shanae said, you're being nice. I get dumbass questions all the time. Yeah, yeah, lovingly, respectfully, but Yo, so but anyway, we're gonna get to the questions, and we're gonna try to sort through questions that I think would be really valuable right now that you can't easily access in my FAQs or on a website. So, but again, make sure you're putting your questions in the question box. All right, cool. So someone asked, they said the software that you were tested on during your interview, did you learn that software when you took Course Careers, or did you have prior experience with the software?
Yo, so for everybody who's listening right now and you're thinking, man, I really want to do what Cyrus Guest is doing to be in tech, or maybe you've been thinking for a minute, man, I want to be a sales engineer like Cyrus. What can I do to become a sales engineer? Well, I actually want to recommend to you Careerist Bootcamp, which isn't just the bootcamp that I've done and many of my friends and family members have done to break into tech, but they also offer a variety of other roles aside from sales engineering. That being roles like different types of tech sales jobs, including SDR, BDR, account executive, but also something that's in really high demand right now, QA automation, as well as QA tester. Y'all, Careerist Bootcamp, aside from these variety of courses, they have an amazing program that assists you with helping you get a job in tech. With their program, they have two different versions of it. One of it actually aggregates different jobs and companies that are hiring specifically for the role that you did within their course. And that way you're able to just synchronize and go through and apply to each of those roles yourselves. But also they have an automated version of that also within their JAS program, or JAS, Job Application Service Program. The reason why I made a separate video to talk about them is because they made a lot of updates in their program, including hiring a crap ton of more mentors and coaches to be able to assist their graduates with being able to get a job, being able to interview better, essentially giving them all of the tools that they need to be able to break into this dope industry. Apart from that, they've also made some adjustments and tweaks within their classes and courses, providing more assistance, having more instructors, ultimately being able to service each of their students better. Careerist actually allows our audience to get a $300 discount on top of every sale they have going on. So if you go to their site right now and they have a sale going on, if you use our link, you will still get a $300 discount on top of any sale that they have going on all the time. Listen, y'all, I definitely recommend you check them out. And please let us know if you do Careerist and when they help you break into tech too.
Neither. So it was the software that they actually sell. So they gave me some time to get familiar with it. And I guess to see how resourceful I was, because, you know, there were also videos on how to do exactly what they wanted me to show them. So just it's a EHR software. So basically for that interview, they just wanted me to show them like different ways that you can schedule an appointment. And that's just like, it's easier to communicate with, you know, prospects or leads if you know what the software does. So I guess that was them trying to gauge like, you know, can you be competent enough to like, you know, teach yourself or be resourceful enough to, you know, find what you need to, yeah, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, y'all, whatever boot camp someone does, whether it's Careerist, Course Careers, Boy Clueless, like any boot camp you could think of, 99 times out of 100, the boot camp is never going to teach you about whatever company you're going to end up at, like their software. But you have to understand, tech boot camps, it's not like being a doctor. It's not like if you go to medical school, whatever you learn in medical school is generally what you're gonna do at any hospital. But in tech boot camps, it's impossible for them to teach you. They can teach you the job and the role, but they can't teach you every company's software, because there are literally over 100,000 tech companies out there. It's impossible for them to teach you the software of every company, unless it's a company like Salesforce, where most tech companies are using Salesforce, or maybe it's Zoom Info or Zoom. It's like they can't teach you every software. They just teach you how to do the job, but your company trains you on their specific software. Just kind of answer that. I see a question here in the question box. I'm actually going to allow Shanae to answer this if she's still on here, or any other tech recruiters that are on here. The question is, when is the best time to negotiate? After 3 interviews or before? So when's the best time to negotiate pay during the interview process? My opinion is to do it as soon as possible, just to at least bring it up. But that's my opinion. I will let Shanae answer that, since she actually is a recruiter and she knows the best time for people to start negotiating with her. So Next question in here, well, you answered this already. The question was, how long is training once hired? She said that her training was a little under a month. I've seen training be up to 3 months. I've always had trainings that were 2 to 3 months long, but she said hers is 1 month. That's like a quick answer. Uh, okay, cool. Question is, I'm 60% through with Course Careers. Do some companies hire part-time while I work my full-time 9 to 5? I have an answer on this, but I'll let you answer this.
Um, it's very rare to find a part-time SDR job for a tech company. I'm sure they're out there, but it's very rare, and they're probably not paying that well either. Consider part-time.
Yeah, if you're trying to, you ain't gonna be getting no $75,000 plus, $65,000 plus job in tech while working part-time. That's not about to happen unless you're doing what's called a non-customer facing role, specifically something that's technical. If you're doing a job where you're working in what's called a sprint, and when you hear the word sprint, think like a sprint, like you're running. It's like basically you have to hit a goal, but your goal doesn't really have, it's not something you have to finish today. It's something that maybe the company gives you a month to finish it. And maybe you finish it in a week, and for the next 2-3 weeks, you just kind of chilling, or you have to finish it in, they give you a month to finish it, but you finish it in a week, so you're able to chill. It's like when you're working in a sprint, those are usually more technical roles, like you being a full stack developer, front end, back end, certain cybersecurity roles. Those are the only type where you really could kind of work on more of a very flexible schedule to maybe you take 2 days off in the middle of the week and nobody in your company really cares or brings it up, as long as you're knocking out your task by the intended deadline. But the type of roles we're talking about, tech sales, yeah, you ain't about to be having no part-time jobs in tech sales. Like, not at no like solid company. That's like a really weird thing. I've never seen that. So what was your job search like? Another question we got on here. What was your job search like after Course Careers? And did you feel completely equipped to begin in tech sales after you completed the course?
So to answer the first part of the question, I will say I think what was most beneficial for me with Course Careers is like the interview tips. That's where I kind of learned, to make it more conversational. And they kind of help you with like how to be successful when applying to jobs, interviewing, stuff like that. So that was very helpful. And like I said before, I was only on LinkedIn. I didn't use anything else. The second part of the question, did I feel fully equipped? I would say mentally prepared, yes. So like I wasn't surprised when I found myself like having to make a lot of calls, talking to strangers, using certain type of, verbiage or, asking questions. Like I expected that, even like as we were training and they were explaining like how to say certain things, I wasn't surprised at all by that. So I was mentally prepared. Fully equipped, I don't know, but mentally prepared, yes.
Okay, cool. The questions, if I don't answer, if anybody's missed the live, I would encourage you to like rewatch it, because I'm seeing a bunch of questions in here that she addressed earlier. I am going to leave this live up so you will be able to rewatch it to get those questions answered. So if I don't answer your question, it's either because she already answered it in the live, but 9 times out of 10, again, you can go to my FAQs completely free. Just click the link in my bio, go to my FAQs, and 9 times out of 10, you'll see your questions, your answers to your questions in there as well. All right, someone asked, what's the difference between Career Karma and Course Careers? Career Karma isn't a boot camp. I'm actually good friends with the owner of Career Karma, Ruben Harris. He's a really dope guy that's really helped me out a lot in this industry. But yeah, Career Karma is not a boot camp. Course Careers is a boot camp though. All right. Did Careers Bootcamp manual QA? Okay, that doesn't apply to this conversation. I'm going to be interviewing, the next time I go live, I'm going to be interviewing somebody who did Careers. So stay tuned for that, y'all. I'm going to start bringing on more people that have done Careers. Anyway, that's a weird question. Yeah, I don't even know I'll read the question. Maybe you'll understand it. If you don't, we'll move on to something else. The question is, how long will it take until I can use the boot camp to find new work? I guess basically they're asking like, how long will it take them to get a job? I'll let you try to answer that first.
Well, for me, it took about 3 months, but honestly, that was me not really like applying to a whole bunch of jobs every day. I was like not that I was like only applying to one or two, but I was like very selective. Like you said about the salary, if it was less than 60, I just wouldn't even apply. So, or if it was like not fully remote, sometimes I wouldn't reply either. So it just depends on, how dedicated you are to the process, how long it takes. Because if you follow all the interview tips and you actually take in the information and you do good on your interviews, I would say maybe it takes just like a few months. Yeah. So for me, 3 months.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, usually depending on the work someone puts in, the level of dedication, blah, 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 and what type of like roles that they're looking for, the pay they're looking for. Usually it's usually the average is about 3 months, but I've seen plenty of people. I mean, y'all have seen plenty of people get jobs before they finish the boot camp. That's happened plenty of times, but usually it's somewhere between, on the fast end, it's like a month after finishing. And then sometimes I've seen it take 7 months for some people. And so I've just seen that happen. So I gave myself 1 year to get a job. I was like, y'all, I'll finish this boot camp. I was like, I'm gonna dedicate a year to getting a job in this industry. I got a job in 2 months. I started 2 months after finishing the boot camp. So, but I told myself at least a year, so anyway. And I know you need to go soon. So as soon as you need to jump, just let me know. I'll answer a couple more questions. And yeah, y'all, for those that are just now jumping in, again, she did the Course Careers Bootcamp. Her sister put her on, and she like skipped over. She didn't use the discount, but for anybody that wants to do the bootcamp, if you want a discount, that's my discount code down below, Cyrus50, so you can save yourself $50. It's the bootcamp's only it's $499, but so with the discount code, you could just pay $449 instead. And they do have payment plans, and you can use the discount with their payment plans as well. And it's a pretty affordable payment plan. I mean, the bootcamp itself is pretty affordable. All right, next question. I doubt you're doing this now, but have you been traveling yet with your company? Like, have they had you traveling?
No, but I've only been there for a little bit over a month. So no, I haven't traveled yet, but from what I'm understanding, it sounds like they've had different events before that they've had employees travel for, but since I've been there, not yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, y'all, and it varies company to company. There are some companies that'll have you travel and some that won't, but usually it's optional with the companies. I see a question in here, and I actually will probably encourage this person to book a one-on-one with either myself or Shanae, recruiter cousin who's here. They said, during your interviews, did you answer all the questions correctly? But basically, they're saying that it's been 3 months so far, and they haven't gotten an offer yet. Again, 3 months isn't ridiculously long. Nevertheless, if you haven't gotten an offer yet after 3 months and you've been applying aggressively, interviewing, then usually it will be good for you to schedule a one-on-one either with Shanae or myself, because we can talk through maybe what your flaws might be. You're saying that you're good at interviewing, but there's clearly something that's missing there. So, I would say either book a one-on-one. Also, what we're about to start doing with the Tech is the New Black team, we're actually about to start going live on Wednesdays, and we're going to bring on different tech recruiters, hiring managers to actually do interview coaching, training, going over resumes. We've done it a few times already, but we took a break, but we're about to get back to doing it. Again, completely free resources, free game, just to help more of y'all out. Because a lot of y'all do the boot camp, and there's something that you're missing that's a disconnect that isn't allowing some people to be able to get jobs as quickly as others. So trying to provide other resources to help y'all out, to help people get jobs faster and easier, and then also there's Octoply AI, which is what I have on here. I'm telling everybody to follow Octoply. Octoply AI is an AI tool that does all the work it takes up until you getting an interview. and it does work for you. It's an AI tool that does work behind the scenes while you're interviewing and you're in different rounds of interviews. So it's an AI software that actually assists you to get several interviews, keeps track of everything for you. It does a plethora of other things as well. So definitely sign up for the wait list because we'll be accepting only 100 people to be able to start out with Octoply AI. And that's a AI tool it's been built out. It's a merger between myself, Tech as a New Black, and actually 2 other tech companies that recently merged together. So it's kind of a 3-part effort on us creating AI software tool. It's right here. It's pinned in the comments. It's called Octoply.ai. Somebody said, what's the name of it again? It's right here pinned in the comments, y'all. So if you look at the pinned comment, you'll see the discount for course careers, and then you'll see it say follow Octoply.ai. So it's really dope tool that's going to really transform the game. Essentially, we're about to step into an era, y'all, where no one will have to apply for jobs anymore. No one will have to reach out to recruiters or hiring managers. The AI will literally do everything for you, schedule the interviews for you, prepare you for the interview, do a summary of the company for you. You won't have to look the companies up anymore. You won't have to really do anything except for just look at a summary of the company, a breakdown of the company, and be prepared for the interview that the AI sets up for you. So it's really about to be a game changer that's going to help a lot of people out. So that way, instead of y'all having to apply to 20, 30 jobs a day, the AI can do all of that for you while you're just living life. Maybe you're beefing up your certifications, your knowledge in the tech industry, while the AI is setting up all those interviews for you. So very excited for what this is going to do for people. Because again, it's all about just helping more people be able to get into the industry and just really make it easier. Still make sure you come in there ready to put in that work, but I don't think people should have to work to get a job, especially when we're talking about the tech industry. It's like technology should be able to do that for you. But anyway, off that, all right, so we will answer, I'll ask one more question, and then I will let you go. So they always put these questions out of order. All right, so I answered this question in my FAQs, but this is a pretty good question. And I'll let you answer this first, and I'll kind of give my 2 cents afterwards. So someone asked, they said, why do so many tech companies put a bachelor's degree as a requirement if these are entry-level roles? And I would love you to share your input. I'll share my input. I know Shanae's on here again, y'all. She's a recruiter with the largest tech company, or the most valuable tech company in the world right now. So she definitely knows a thing or two. But in your opinion, like, why do you think, like, I guess, have you like figured out or seen that some tech companies put a requirement for a certain degree? And have you seen that that's not really a requirement, even though a lot of them put down that those things are requirements?
Well, this is going to kind of be my assumption, but I think it's a couple reasons. For one, I think they put it on there to kind of like root some people out. And then also, I don't know, I think they probably just do that because I feel like if you have a degree, maybe they feel like you went through college, that you maybe have a different type of work ethic. But that's just my assumption. I really don't know, because a lot of these jobs, sometimes you really don't need that degree, or sometimes, like in my case, you have the degree, but it has nothing to do with what you're doing. So
yeah, more than likely, I can't say most tech companies, but most that I've seen, whenever they put that a degree is a requirement, it's usually capped. Like, sometimes it's to make themselves look more official, where it's like, I mean, I've said it this way. Think of it this way. It's kind of like, I'm not going to say which gender does this, but let's just say people in general do this, where people will list all their requirements to date me. Like, it's like, yo, you got to be this, you got to have this, you got to be like this, you got to have all these things, you got to bring all these things to the table in order to date me. But then you see that person actually gets into a relationship, and that person that they're dating only fits half of the description of what they said they want. Many tech companies do the same thing, where they literally will beef up the requirements. And I would tell y'all, that's why I told y'all that I was not very adamant about looking at the requirements until, like, looking at like the requirements I had to bring to the table until it was time for an interview. So once the company said, hey, yeah, we'll interview you, then I would look at all the things they said they wanted. And And every tech company I've worked at, up until the one, actually, no, every single tech company I've worked at, when I looked at the description of what was required, I was underqualified every single time, and I got the job. So first tech company, they said I had to have a bachelor's degree. They said I had to be able to code. I don't know how to code. I don't have any degree, like at all. And so don't get caught up in those requirements. Don't allow that to intimidate you. And Shanae put it in here. Okay, cool. Yeah. So look at Shanae's response on this, because she's doing a pretty good job at this. Yeah, Shanae said, I've never heard of candidates say I want to work with smart people. Some people equate smart people to having a degree. Yeah, and also many times there could be a separation, and Shanae can touch on this more. Many times the person that posted the actual job and put the requirements, they're not actually the decision maker on who gets an interview or who gets the job. So it could literally be a different person that can post the requirements where really they might be a little out of touch as to what's required. Sometimes there could be a disconnect. That happens a lot. So again, don't allow that to intimidate you, because again, it doesn't matter what the requirement is. Somebody said this on my podcast before. This is another recruiter that said this. I think it was Bobby. And Shanae, I think, yeah, you know Bobby, right? I think you know Bobby. I think he's a technical recruiter with, it might be Microsoft. I can't remember. But Bobby said, let the company disqualify you. Let them tell you that you can't get the role. Don't look at the description and say, oh, I don't qualify for this. No, let the company tell you that by them not interviewing you or during the interview process. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, but that's basically it. So last thing, my bad, I know we're over time. I know you need to go and get your workout in. I'll stay on to answer a few more questions, and then I'll jump off. But I would love to give you the floor, like anything that you would like to share that you haven't had the opportunity to share here on the live.
No, just final words is like, don't be scared to take that step. Like I'm not saying you should quit your job, but after I finished the course, I legit quit my job because I was really unhappy. So like, if you're not happy with your current work situation, like, don't be scared to do what you have to do to go somewhere else or to progress or whatever it is. So that's just my final words.
Love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, Tiffany said, thank you for your time and transparency. Now, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Because I'm always grateful for the people that come on the live to tell their stories, because obviously you're not getting paid for this, and many times people get jobs in tech and they like, yo, I'm good, I'm happy working my job, I don't have time to help other people or put other people on. So I always appreciate people like yourself that's willing to come on and share your story, give insight, give information that could really inspire people, because my story can only inspire X amount of people. And there are people that only your story can inspire, that my story can inspire. Of course, everybody doesn't need to work in tech, but it's like, if you're trying to make more money and you want some of the benefits and perks that this industry offers, you might as well get in tech in the meantime until you figure out something else in the future. So leverage this tech bag and do something else with it, to really set yourself up well. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on, for staying over a few minutes after the time. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, see you.